Hey, yo, what up? Welcome to J-Roll, say it for me.
The food.
Ooh, that one hurt.
Couldn't get it out.
We're not. I'll try to bring up Fuji. We'll try to bring up Fuji, but this one's not specifically about Fuji. We're just calling Fuji everything tech Fuji Corner.
Yeah. Today, guys, we're
until the day that we give up on Fuji and switch to Sony,
and then we'll be the Sony Corner. Today we're going to be talking about workstations, what we got on our desks, what we got for mobile, what we plan on doing, what we want to do, what we wish we could do. Maybe if we had unlimited money, what would your workstation look like at home, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point too. Unlimited, or even just like a lot of money, not even unlimited.
Yeah,
because
not unlimited.
I'll admit. So to start, I'll say let's say, we do this for a living, but my budget for building a PC has never been excessive, you know?
I agree.
I feel like people go crazy. I knew a lot of people in school who would get they'd buy the fucking $7,000 MacBook.
Yeah.
To edit on, and it's like I just don't want to spend that kind of money when I don't have to, which we'll talk about. But
yeah, let's start there. For people getting into this line of work, camera is part of your gear, but another part is going to be a workstation of some kind. Whether you're a laptop guy, if you're in college or travel a lot, or for me and Mike, we've both been big PC builders since we were wee little young lads.
Yeah, there's just something so fun about building your.
It's
own
really
PC.
fun. It's like Legos, right? It's not.
Yeah, but
it's not this
fun Legos, because after you're done, you get a working machine.
Yeah. Let's start with this. Why do you? I know why I think people would choose, say, a pre-built Macintosh over building your own PC. But
that's a separate thing too. So laptop, I could understand. Well, I don't understand Mac at all because, and here's why. Because I think there was this rhetoric back in the day that was like, if you want to do good design or video work, you have to have a Mac. And I think that was because Final Cut at the time was way better than Premiere. And I will admit that. When I was in college, when I was in grad school doing film school, Mac was better. Final Cut was better, not Mac. But people associated that to the computer, not to the software. And now that Premiere's exceeded that, people are still using Mac, but using Premiere. And people believe that it crashes less, which maybe with Vista and XP that might have been true. So I don't understand the Mac thing.
I would say I do think Windows is a tad bit buggier and not
still with Windows 10.
I think because people use iPhones, so many people have iPhones, right? So when you go to a Mac computer, it's very similar in the look and the feel, and all the apps have the same icons.
I can understand that, but I have freelanced for many years, and I had a Mac, one of those beautiful trash can Macs at work. Mm-hmm. $9,000 computer, mm-hmm. and under $1,000 computer. So I used both, and I did not. Other than the trash can was significantly faster. It was 16 core. It had dual processors.
Yeah, well, if you spend $5,000 on a car versus $25,000 on a car, the other car is gonna have bells and whistles, right?
And it's not enough, because I could build that same PC as a PC like this for half the price. So you're just paying for the Mac, right? You're paying for the beauty of it. But I didn't see a stability increase.
I don't think that's true. Yeah,
I got crashes on Mac just as often as I got crashes on Windows. So. Yeah. I don't know that I see it, and I was using it daily, day to day. So I'm
not sure. I wonder if that is still a thing.
I know that it
used. I know for sure it used to be. I'm not sure if people still feel that way. I will say I think the reason why Mac can charge so much, they have everyone knows Apple, blah blah blah, but no other company, I don't know why no one has put up a laptop that can compete with the design of an actual MacBook. I mean,
The Surface is close. The Surface looks really good. Have you seen the Surface 2?
yeah, but it's not. It's not.
I just don't agree, and I don't, and also I don't care. Yeah, if you like the design of Apple better, I get that. That's fine, but like, you're paying for that, you know?
No, totally, totally, and I think that does go back again to people being like, well, if you're creative, you should have a MacBook, and give or take, I think MacBooks do last a long time. People that buy a MacBook, it does last longer than a PC laptop for whatever reason it is. I don't know why.
Maybe mine is fine still, except for the battery. The battery fucking blows. But.
Like everyone that I know that has had a MacBook, they haven't upgraded in 5 or 6 years because it still works. What are you're not going to upgrade if it's still working.
I guess that's fine. I don't know. I don't use mine not because of anything aside from the fact that the battery sucks, which I could swap out if I wanted, and I just can't get a lot done on a laptop. Like I just
agreed.
Straight up can't do, like, even a Mac laptop doesn't allow me to do as quick work as a PC. Although I would consider going to a laptop setup if I traveled enough and if they figured out this like eGPU situation that is interesting.
Those are pretty sick.
I mean, I
wonder how small they can actually make those. Are they like this big, like the size of?
They're the size of a graphics card. They're the size of a graphics card. Yeah.
So you could easily maybe it's
like slightly thicker, basically, like slightly thicker than a graphics card. But they don't add as much boost as a internal GPU. Still, like,
is
it's
that
still
true?
pretty.
Okay,
yeah,
I thought it was
still
the same.
No, it's like it's a bit of a boost, but it doesn't come close. Like if you get a 1080 Ti external. Well, they actually don't. They don't for Mac. You can't get NVIDIA externals, so you have, and that's the other downside is Macs only use AMD.
Interesting.
GPUs, which don't play with Premiere. I mean, and that's.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah, Premiere uses NVIDIA specifically, CUDA cores in NVIDIA. Otherwise, it does do a GPU acceleration, but it doesn't do it the same amount.
Yeah.
So, and Mac does not have drivers for NVIDIA for any of their cards. So, or maybe some of the old ones you can get drivers for, but
I think too. I think people that buy Macs are rich people. I mean, that's just.
Well, you have a Mac.
I paid $200 for mine.
It's also old.
It's from 2011, 7 years ago.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, mine's from my computer. Honestly, my computer's from 2009, and if I'm not editing 4K 200-bit footage, if I'm editing like 1080 footage, I can do that on this thing.
Yeah.
Pretty easy.
I have the MacBook Air that I bought from when I came across. I sold my desktop, switched to MacBook Air for a little bit. Brittany's using it now. I mean, I paid like $500 for it at the time. It edits 1080p footage easily.
That's great.
It's great.
I'm gonna be actually. So we'll have an update because I'm gonna be using this laptop because I have a project that I'm gonna need to do. I mean, it's gonna be like an hour here or there of work, but while I'm in LA, I'm gonna have to do some work on this project. So I'll be trying it out. We'll see how it works. It'll be the Fuji X-H1 footage. We'll see how annoying it is to edit.
I'm sure. Okay, so if we just take away laptops, okay? Obviously there's range of laptops, blah blah blah. Mac is the #1 selling laptop, blah blah blah, for whatever reason. Now we are both PC builders. We would never buy I would never buy MacBook Pro or Mac Pro.
Well, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's it's just so expensive. It's stupid.
It's insanely expensive. Me and Mike both run, I think this CPU's from 2013. It's the 4690K unlocked.
No, it's older than that. I thought it was 2011. Is it 2013?
Let's find out.
You might be right, but yes. It's the unlocked i5. It's a popular gaming. It's a popular
CPU.
gaming CPU because it's unlocked, And because games, I was telling J-Roll this the other day, games don't use all the cores. Games use at most 2 cores. Sometimes they'll use like 1 core for the game, and then if you have like other stuff running on your desktop, it'll use the other core for that. Video editing and motion graphics and photo editing all use multiple cores. All those programs are set up for multi-core things. So if you're doing that, something like the i7, which has twice as many threads, is going to be a better option than the i5. But the i5, if you're a gamer, you go, why get the i7 when it's basically running at the same speed as the i7, but it's half the price? So that's why gamers went for the i5.
I saw that the i5, that was why I went for the i5.
Right, exactly.
I saw that the single core sometimes is better than the i7.
Yes, it can be because, well, it depends on which i7 you're comparing it to. But yeah.
$300 on Amazon right now? It said 2014 first listed on Amazon. So
I think used you can get like 150, but like new, if you got a brand new one, I'm sure it goes for a lot because people like this fucking CPU. It's cool. A great CPU.
It is
for the price.
I've been working on it for the last 4 years, so it's been good to me. We both overclock. We're big nerds.
I just started. You've been doing it forever. Literally last night.
Oh, you've never tried it before?
Never did it before.
Oh, okay.
Literally last night, I got myself to 4.4. What are you at?
Oh, let's find out.
I'm at 4.4, 1.2 volts, which is apparently the super safe voltage if you don't want any degradation of your CPU. They say 1.2 volts is max. You should go. I've seen people say they run at 1.3 and they never had a problem, so I don't know, but...
Okay. Let's see. Let me download this thing real quick. So, our workstations are pre-built PCs. I mean, if you built this PC
pre-built.
right, not pre-built. We built them, but if you build this PC out, you're looking at what, $500, $400,
I usually
$500
set $500-$600 as whenever I've built a PC in the past, it's been like $400 to $600.
I think that's a good price range for.
I
PC
agree.
Folks.
You can get anything. I wouldn't go under 4. I think if you go under 4, you're going to start making a computer that can't run 4K footage. But if you go 400, 600, you're going to spend about 200 on a GPU, 200 on RAM, 200 on CPU, and then that fluctuates depending. You can go under 200 on RAM, you can go over 200 on, So somewhere around 600, I would say you're going to get yourself a really good CPU, like a really good computer for editing and graphics. And people who tell you, people are going to say, because there's these people who just like they want to go top of the line, and you don't need to. You just don't need to. Unless you're doing high-end commercial work, like 3D graphics.
Yeah. I think that's the only really good reason to really go high end, fucking everything.
But now, and I'll talk about this later. But now with GPU rendering on 3D programs, if you just get a really good GPU, you can just do 3D stuff right on the fly.
Okay.
So anyway, we'll talk about that later.
I got mine running at core speeds 4399 with the voltage of 1.194.
Oh, so you're under. So yeah, I'm right about you. So I'm at 4412.
4412, yeah.
So
same. I don't know.
Basically,
I wonder if we could ever even tell the difference, right? You just keep. I think I tried to go really high and then it was like fucking up, and then I was like, all right, if I just go back a little.
Well, it
doesn't have to be all the way.
I love that it's the lottery of what you get when you buy it. Like,
yeah.
I love that. Did you? Have you heard about these people?
Yeah,
will buy.
Some people have insane ones that can.
Well, yeah, but people will buy them, try to overclock them, and then sell them if they don't overclock, and then buy a new one. Overclock it. We won't sell it, and they don't. Obviously, don't say this one won't overclock to the right amount. They just are like, I'm getting a new one, but. Yeah, it's all about whether you get that really golden one. Like there's like people on the overclock that post their thing and they're like,
check it out,
like 50 gigahertz at like 1.25. It's like that's like a really well built CPU. Anyway, we're getting into overclocking now, but let me go on the other side of overclocking. I'm actually hesitant to do any sort of crazy overclocking because as somebody who's using this for work, it worries me that it might be unstable and I lose. I was actually, so to test it out, I was doing a quick edit and it wasn't important. It was just like a personal thing. And I was testing it out to see if it would be fine. And it passed the stress test. It was like I did a stress test overnight. It was fine. Then I started editing, got a BSOD 20 minutes into
passed
editing.
the stress test and then it
Passed the stress test.
Yes.
Because, and people were saying online, some of the stress tests pull it up to max and leave it there. Whereas editing is a lot of up and down, up and down, up and down, and the voltage changes a lot. So that can cause it to pop off. So yeah, I mean, definitely before if you do overclock, I would just say test it with the stress test and then do a heavy editing session, do a heavy motion graphics session, and don't make it too important or just save a lot because it might still not be great for you. So anyway,
yeah. So on top of, okay, so me and Mike are saying you should budget around 500 or 600. That should probably get you close. That's assuming you have a monitor, speakers, keyboard, mouse, all those regular peripherals.
The first time in, you're gonna have to buy that stuff, but then after that, you just keep what you have. And
I have a bunch of stupid gaming stuff, like overspent on a mouse and keyboard for no reason. It's really stupid.
I'll just say let's go to that. That's a good segue. My mouse is the Logitech MX Master. I love this mouse. It's incredible.
Spending on a mouse is really. This is the M50.
Oh yeah, nice.
It's got weights on the bottom, so that.
Ooh, that's nice.
So
you got a mechanical keyboard too, right?
Yeah, Brittany complains about how loud it is because it's loud as shit. You need that tactile.
I got rid of my mechanical because of that. We were living in a smaller apartment and she could like hear me through the walls.
Yeah, that's bad. So, that's real bad.
It was too
This is all gaming stuff. This stuff, the keyboard and mouse, I mean, you really don't need anything too crazy to get your workstation started. A good pair of headphones, I think
definitely need that, yeah. Or speakers. I mean, if you don't have a reason to put headphones on because you don't live with somebody or something, speakers are fine.
Yeah.
I guess it's nice to check in on the headphones, but
the other thing me and Mike always talk about is storage. So for us, I have a hard time getting rid of anything that I shoot, and that's like the hoarding mentality of like keeping.
I don't agree. You shouldn't get rid of stuff you shoot.
But will I ever, something from 2012?
Doesn't matter though. I agree though. I don't think you should get rid of stuff you shoot. I think you can get rid of, like we do with the cast, we can get rid of raw files.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I keep all my raw files, even after exporting everything.
You can ditch those probably.
Like I have weddings from like 2012, like terabytes, like just raw files. I'm never gonna open them. I'm never gonna look at them.
Storage is cheap enough that it's okay.
It is pretty cheap now.
So we were talking about this, and it's like I've never run anything other than just put everything on a hard drive and hope it doesn't fail, which is a terrible way. And I'm doing that right. I'm literally doing that right now.
That's what I do.
It's terrible. Because I just had my first ever hard drive. Not first ever. It's been two, but this was the first one where it was.
Was the first one the
no, that was
break footage?
That was a different one. I've had externals fail on me, and I don't trust externals. Externals I back up twice.
Yeah, so I've been talking to Mike about kind of storage situations, and if you've heard of a NAS, is that how you pronounce it? I don't really know. NAS
drives. Well, I mean, NAS is like a specific type of RAID or a specific, like a NAS is like a outside of your computer set of drives that you can access. Sort of like a server, but you don't have to have like a full server to access it.
I think the popular one that, if you don't know what it is, if you ever heard anybody say like a Drobo or something like that, that's kind of like the friendly budget version or whatever of it.
The nice thing about NAS for anybody else's purposes, you can do like a network NAS where you can have a NAS in your big house and everybody can access it. You can do that, or in an office. The real reason though for us is to implement RAID. So you've thought about RAID, right?
Yeah, of course.
So RAID is like, and if you don't know about RAID, it's to simply put it, it basically sets it up. You can set it up in a situation where multiple drives act as one. And you can do it where all the drives just act as one big drive, and you just, if you have 4 terabytes, you just get 5 4 terabyte drives mixed into one big drive. Like 20 terabytes. Or you can set up RAID to back up the other drives in a way so that if one drive fails, you can replace that drive and not lose any of your footage, any of your data. This is what's nice because like I said, I just had one drive fail, and the one drive that failed had some stuff on it that was important. I was able to get it off before the drive completely pooped out, which now it doesn't work at all. But if that had happened with a RAID situation, I wouldn't even been in trouble. I could have literally just it would tell me this drive is failing. I would pull it out, buy a new 4 terabyte drive, pop it in. The program would spend the however long it takes to re-implement that drive with the footage that it has backed up, and then I'd be back running. So that's nice because then if you do have a failure, you haven't lost anything. You've lost completely nothing. You've lost time. That's really all you've lost.
$100 in time.
$100 in time.
Whatever.
And the thing is that I wanted to mention was the only downside is you will have more drive failures this way. The reason is you've got 3 drives running together. So when you access one thing, it's spread, copied over these 3 drives. Mm-hmm. So now you've got 3 drives being accessed at once. You're going to get, they're running a little bit harder, which is why you specifically buy NAS drives. You've seen those like drives for NAS or for RAID. It's because those drives are not meant for speed. They're meant for durability. And you actually gain speed with RAID. So imagine if RAID has 4 drives where it's copying everything somewhere on all 4 of those drives multiple times, twice, I think. So you have 4 drives, it would do 2 copies on the drives in different spots. You're going to be able to access that faster because the drives can you can access it from different drives simultaneously. So you gain that speed back.
Can you do RAIDs with SSD? Is that even a thing?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you can.
Yeah.
The only thing with SSDs is SSDs aren't great yet for constant right. read write.
Yeah.
That's why people love them for like OS and games. They're good if you're just reading from it, but when you do constant read write, it kind of wears them down quicker. Spinning drives are still more reliable for that. And you could lose a chunk of an SSD pretty quickly, and it you have, unlike a spinning drive, you could lose like a quarter of your SSD and you actually can still access the other 3/4, which is weird, but it's like that chip dies. And then you just
and obviously it's more expensive.
And it's more expensive, and you're not actually going to gain much speed from that. RAID drives give you a huge speed boost because you're running off of 3 or 4 drives simultaneously. So,
yeah, we didn't talk about that earlier. Our recommendation is you go for M2 or SSD for your programs and your games and whatever you're running off of, and then you get your spinning drives for your storage. SSD just makes a huge difference in terms of running programs and whatnot.
Yeah, it's actually good too if you have a cache. So you set your cache. If you set it to an SSD, it will, like I said, read write wears the SSD down a little bit faster, but that's going to speed up your workflow, editing, and motion graphics. I use it for After Effects too. Set your cache to the SSD, and it can write to it much faster than to a spinning drive. So,
So yeah, storage solutions. I mean, if you're just starting out, you don't have to really think about RAID or anything like that. Just get one big boy, and maybe you can get
and back it up.
Yeah, get an external, back it up on an external too, whatever.
Just every so often back it up, or back up your footage. This is one thing I've seen a lot of people do, which I may start doing. Back up your footage and everything on your drive and on another drive if you can, and then put all your project files, all that stuff you're constantly updating, on a Dropbox, and
have it.
You'll always have it. If that drive fails, you've got your footage backed up, and you didn't have to constantly move your project files because those are being backed up to the cloud.
Smart.
You can just pull your newest project file down, re-upload your backed up footage, and you're running again. So I may actually start doing that now for all my projects.
Yeah, and that's that we could talk about that some other time, is about kind of our workflow for this show. Maybe people would be interested in that. But we use a Dropbox. We do a Dropbox to well,
we're still figuring it out.
We're still trying to figure it out, but for both of us to be able to work on the same project file, we have everything uploaded onto Dropbox. What about RAM? I have 32 in mine. I think
I have 32 as well.
I think 16 is good enough.
You don't need 32. I did it because I had 16 in my last one, and I was like, I want more. But you don't need 32. Get 16. You were just talking about building that ITX computer, and I would even say avoid the extra $100 and just get 2 8s in the DIMMs, because I don't think I ever use even half of my RAM.
I don't think so either. And you won't be able to tell in regular usage of your computer anyway, regardless of if it's doing anything or not.
Definitely not.
I guess the last thing would be GPU, and
so let's talk about that a little bit.
GPU. I think this is the most upgraded thing inside of any person that builds a PC. I think it's the one thing that gets upgraded over and over and over and over again.
Well, it's becoming way more important with what we do professionally now too.
Yeah.
It used to be unrelated. Like, it used to be when I first got it in the video.
Actually,
it used to be GPUs were just for gaming, and it had nothing to do with editing or video.
Doesn't make any sense, dude.
No, it doesn't.
Yes.
And so I do motion graphics, and I really love they're really developing this like GPU rendered 3D graphics, which somebody I think just said to themselves, right? They went, I play these video games and they're starting to look beautiful.
Yeah.
How come I can't just make graphics, motion graphics and 3D art using the same real time? It's literally rendering this stuff on the fly. Why can't I do that for my my videos? And they're doing that now. I mean, for Cinema 4D, there's a new program called Red Shift, which I think I'm gonna buy soon, which does fully on the fly 3D rendering.
So when you say on the fly, like, you're not hitting the render button to see what's gonna happen.
It's like you're in a video game, except you have the ability to create the objects, put on the textures, move
like
the lights.
Like a sandbox mode or something.
It's like a sandbox mode. But you can also like video games spend a lot of time trying to optimize it so that it plays at 60 FPS or more, which requires you to cut some corners and to compress some things, and like textures are compressed usually in video games. In this, it runs on the fly, but then you can start to add really high-end things because you want it to look beautiful. You want it to look like photorealistic, let's say. And it won't be real time. It won't be like 60 FPS you're getting, but it will be like 2-second renders. Like, it'll start to get down to 2-second, 5-second. So that's opposed to like Cinema Now. If I start doing anything with global illumination or ambient occlusion, I'm getting minute per frame, 2 minutes per frame.
Horrible.
So this is great. I think this is the future of what I do motion graphics wise, because I just think it's going to be, everybody's going to be doing GPU rendering.
Well, then you're not going to have to spend as much money trying to get all these cores and threads and stuff, right? It's going to level it out a little bit.
Maybe. I think the cores and threads are still useful for video rendering. Video rendering is not done on the GPU because CPUs just handle it better.
Yeah.
And that is where cores and threads really come in handy. I think that the GPU CPUs are going to start to become the same thing. This is what I think. Anyway, so GPU is important these days for Premiere. Let's say just editing wise, it does not help with exporting. So this is why with CPU, if you're doing Premiere editing or motion graphics, those both render on the chip, but they preview on the GPU. So when you're running the timeline, you're actually using your GPU, and specifically get an NVIDIA GPU. They use CUDA cores. So get a GPU with as many CUDA cores as you can get for the price you got, and it will speed up your on-the-fly rendering, or your on-the-fly playing when you're playing in the timeline. The CPU is when you're exporting. So if you have, the more cores you have, the faster your exports are going to go. Same thing with After Effects. The more cores you have, the faster you're going to be able to RAM preview your animation, and the faster you're going to be able to export your animation. Which is why I suggested to you, J-Roll, look at the AMD. So AMD is making chips that are way cheaper than Intel and have way more cores. Now, core for core, Intel's destroying them if you just match up one core to one core. But you can get like I showed you, you can get for $250 a 8-core 16-thread chip, Ryzen 7, or for $140, you can get a 6-core 12-thread Ryzen 5, I think it is. That's insane. 12 threads? You can do 12. It can render that. And what that means specifically, let me just explain this to you. It renders 12 frames at once. Because each core picks up a frame of footage. In After Effects, when I hit render, it can render the first 12 frames simultaneously. Then it jumps to the next 12 frames simultaneously. And obviously some of these frames are going to be more, intense than others. So, it starts to stagger, but it renders them like that, which is just, it's just insane. It's insane. So if you want best bang for your buck, you can get like a $150 CPU that will render faster than a Intel $300 to $400 CPU. It will beat it in render time, which is crazy.
Straight up. Yeah. That I think if you're looking to build a computer, Mike's recommendation right now is AMD if it's video editing. I wish I knew more about if the cores and all that stuff have to do with photo editing, but I think exporting and stuff is really, I think photo editing wise, I think it's really coming in the wayside. Like any computer should be able to really handle moving sliders up and down for photos.
The photo editing does use the cores though. Lightroom, I don't know if Capture One does, but Lightroom uses those cores to render the picture. It renders portions of the picture separately. So the more cores you have, it'll render that picture up quickly, which I think for most pictures it's probably fine. But if you really get kind of heavy into the effects, you can probably see some.
It does go really slow sometimes. So
yeah. So I think more cores will help you there too. Get the Ryzen, or I would say one last thing I want to say about if you're upgrading right now, if you're getting a PC right now, AMD is about to next year, I think February, come out with the next gen or announce the next gen. Which two things will happen. These will get cheaper, which I can't even understand how $159 it's going to get any cheaper than that.
Get them at the fucking Goodwill, dude.
How many cores does that have? How many cores does that one have?
This is the second gen Ryzen
5?
Unlocked 3.9 max. Why doesn't it say?
I don't know.
Oh, here we go. What the? Here. 5.
5 and 10 threads. That's
6. No, 6 scores. 6
and 12.
Each.
That is $150, and it would probably render faster than even if you got the i7. It would definitely render faster than the i7.
So that's the predicament I'm in, guys. Is like I am here looking at you either build a new computer and I'm trying to build a mini ITX that's like $800 to $900, or I upgrade small portions of my computer and then it's only probably good for another year or two, right? At that point, or however long.
Mini ITX is cool, everyone. If you want to build a small computer, I think that's a great way to go. But like J-Roll was just saying, you're going to pay for it. It's going to be more expensive just because the parts are smaller and more expensive. So.
And then also when you're upgrading now, our computers are DDR3. Everything is moved on to DDR4, and DDR4 is stupid expensive.
It's very expensive. I would say a good middle ground, just if you want to build a smaller computer, but you don't want to pay the prices of like a tiny computer. I have a micro ATX, which is like medium sized, and you can get some really nice like medium sized cases that aren't like those huge fucking towers.
I have a huge one.
Yeah, and you can still kind of find that middle ground. And the thing with ITX too, like I was telling you, it's only got 2 DIMMs for the RAM, so you have to figure your RAM out with only the 2. A micro ATX, you'll still probably get 4 on there. So,
what about does this AM4 socket, do they make boards that are DDR3 instead of DDR4, do you think?
No.
For this?
No.
So it's all
DDR4.
So that's the predicament is I'm last gen everything, so upgrading, I can't incrementally upgrade anymore.
You can't use your RAM. You can use your GPU, but you were thinking about upgrading that anyway.
My GPU everything is kind of outdated, but I mean, it's kind of like a car, right? Run it till it dies, and then when you really need it, then you
the nice part about not incrementally upgrading is, for me, I kind of am gonna at some point want to have a second computer, because there's been a couple of times where it's like I need to render this, but I don't want to stop. I have other things to do.
Yeah.
And so I'm considering that too. I'm like, do I upgrade this one, or do I just build a second computer? Have this one ready. If I need to go render a thing, I can just pop it over here, render it out, keep working on my other computer.
Yeah.
So, something to consider.
Yeah. If you guys have any questions, we're not going to talk about specific builds. You can Google YouTube and people will give you
you want to do some
builds.
Some resources for building your computer. Like if you've never built a computer before, you said PC Parts Picker is pretty good.
PC Part Picker. Let's just show the website. PC Part Picker. People have pre-built stuff in here. You know, people post their builds. Like this first one, $417, entry-level Intel gaming build. Boom.
Okay. It's all very gaming based, but I think there is some stuff in there if it's like production and.
I think you could. Let's shout out to Tech Everything, right?
Black Linus. If you guys know Linus Tech Tips, we found something better. He doesn't post as often, but I think he's way better than Linus.
Yeah, Tech Everything on YouTube. He's an ITX guy though, so
he builds a lot of ITX stuff.
A lot of his stuff is ITX. Again, just you can kind of just go into YouTube, be like, photo workstation build, and I'm sure 1,000 things. I mean, I've never Googled that before, but
and Google comparisons too of the Ryzen versus Intel when it's compared to media encoding, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They do side by side comparisons of how long the media encode takes, and Ryzen AMDs are just murdering Intel. So
here. I mean, look, budget editing PC, buy PC for Photoshop, first PC photo editing build log. If you were on a budget and you don't have the money to buy a sweet MacBook Pro 15-inch for $2,500, seriously, start researching. Building a computer is not that hard, and it's actually really, really fun.
Yeah, if you're a little like, oh, building a PC is going to be too hard, or like I'm not that type of person, it's very easy. I mean, there's a couple of safety things to make sure you don't ruin the parts that you want to keep in mind when you're doing it, like static electricity and stuff. But other than that, you really can't mess it up. It's follow the instructions to what they say, or follow
a recipe.
Watch a video. It's really easy. I'd say the couple of parts that get a little tough is like when you're putting the thermal paste on. It's like how much do you put? That's the toughest part.
Yeah, that's the toughest
or
part.
like when you're seating the CPU. That's really it. Otherwise, it's like super easy. It's a little frustrating when you're trying to like get the cables in the right place. I hate that, especially if you build an ITX, man. That is the worst.
I know.
It's the worst.
Yeah, but there's no better feeling than hitting that power button and the whole thing kicking on. So,
or, the worst feeling is when you build the whole thing and you hit that power button and it just goes.
Yeah. it doesn't do anything. And you're like, is it on? And you like flick the switch, unplug
Yeah,
shit.
yeah.
And you're like, okay. And then you have to open it. But honestly, I think it's a great skill. If you're in this business, computers is part of the camera world. Building a computer, I think, is important for your know-how, and you're probably already tech savvy if you're a camera person anyway. So it shouldn't be that hard.
It does go side by side. I mean, unless you only shoot and you just deliver your footage and never edit.
And don't even worry about it.
Yeah, don't.
But yeah, if you have any questions, if you have any recommendations, if you think we're wrong,
hit us up. I might have said. I mean, sometimes I talk out of my ass, everyone. So if I said something that doesn't jive, you go ahead and call me out. I will admit it. I will admit it. But post references. Like, don't just call me out.
Yeah,
like, give me a link. Like,
teach us.
Yeah, show me why I'm wrong. I want to know. I don't just be like, well, if you overclock 1.2 volts on a i5, you're gonna burn it out. I'm like, show me why.
Blah, blah. Exactly.
Sorry, if you sound like that, I apologize for making fun of you.
All right, we love you guys. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Double.